Hey, what's up, everybody? Robert here from Ram Studios. Got another page of Blackstone Eternal up here on the screen, and I just wanted to go ahead and show you some of the process in which I'm inking. So, figured I would explain some of that to you some more. Add it to the inking videos that we got here on the YouTube channel, and so I'll just kind of work on this. And all I'm doing is going through over my blue lines, like I've explained in the past, and just kind of feathering some lines over, picking and choosing what lines I want to keep. You don't have to stay entirely strict to the initial lines that you put down. Some areas of the drawing I'll do a little more sketched out. Other areas I'll do more refined and multiple layers, and then ink over top and know exactly what I'm going to get with it. But you still want to kind of experiment as you're doing this. I mean, that's definitely the benefit of doing digital inks too, is that you can experiment and you don't have to worry about ruining your master, you know, drawing there that you spent countless hours, working on in your parents' basement or wherever you live. So just kind of, just keep doodling with this stuff and seeing what stuff works. Like I'm kind of liking with the alien here. I usually do the alien a little bit different, but I'm kind of digging this effect where I kind of do a lot of these tiny little scribbled lines, and it's hard to explain, I guess, but just kind of a texturing that I'm doing here. And I was kind of doing them like this, where I was doing like these fatter lines like that, and it was quicker, but if you see the difference from here to here, it's not as interesting looking. So, see if I can control Z back out of there. See, I couldn't have showed you that with traditional media. I would have just freaked out if I did that. It's something strange too. I don't know if you guys have ever dealt with this. How many of you have actually worked digital and traditional? I try to do both, but I find myself going more and more digital these days. But anyways, I'll actually, when I'm drawing traditional now, when I put something down that I need to erase, my mind for a brief second will trigger. I'll look for the Control Z button. It's really sad. Like I'm that far gone with digital now, where I actually try to Control Z my drawings. So things are you're a little too plugged in if that starts happening. So I thought that was pretty crazy, but it just shows how habit forming our minds are, and the things that happen from that. But so yeah, so just kind of keep texturing it like that, and then what I'll do is, after I get a few of these little, kind of do these little lines like this, and little bumps in there, and some are thicker, some are thinner, but mainly, like I said, a bunch of series of little thin lines. Then I'll come inside here, like this area, and maybe throw in some lines like this and crosshatch, just to show that there's a little bit of shading from that bend in the tentacle, like that. So, like that. You see how it's really kind of just I'm not following exactly what's there. I'm just kind of playing it by ear and seeing what looks good as I start to ink over it. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bounce around on this page. That way I can show you a few of the different textures. So that shows you kind of how I do the alien. It's on Blackstone's back, the tentacle beast that is now forcing him to be a hero that he's trying to figure out a way to get off him. If you've been checking out the book or whatever, there's book one's available at Indie Planet. Shameless plug time, you guys. Check out the book if you get a chance, and tell your friends, and buy a couple of them, because they're going to be worth tons of money. So do yourself a favor, buy it, put it in a safe. It'll put your kid through college one day. No, I don't know about that, but it's going to do well. So I don't plan on giving up. So that's usually a good sign that it's going to do well. Alright, so there's the texturing. You see I got some more lines ready to go right here, so I'll do the texturing there. I'll do the cross hatching coming down this way, and that'll try to push this alien out at you. I'm trying to make him look like he's coming out this way towards Bot, Blackstone's little sidekick there, that's kind of trying to figure out what this thing is. So to do that, I'm gonna shade more back here, shade it down back here to show recession in space, and then up here I may thicken the line around the tentacle up here, and then that's also why you see this line here. This actually represents some shading that I'm going to do, so that basically in this panel you have the area shaded back here with the X's, and then this is a light source up here. So light source, and then what that does is helps to dramatize this and push this tentacle forward a little bit, and about being the close-up kind of side view of him, and his little pinchers getting ready to take a little biopsy off it. So so that's how I'm trying to work that scene out. And let's see, a bunch of crosshatch and shading down here against the technical techie wall, I guess. And what's another good thing to show you? Oh yeah, over here. So I want to show you like how I got these grid lines up. The reason I got those up is it helps me draw in this techie kind of stuff, because a lot of times I'll just kind of free flow and draw this stuff, sketch it in without any kind of reference or reference lines. Sometimes it's a bad thing, because I can sometimes get it a little bit crooked or off, but I usually fix it in the inking stage. That's why I don't worry too much about it. So I'll show you that right now. Like, all I'm doing is holding shift. I believe all these do this, like Photoshop. This is Mango Studio. They all pretty much do it. It's they pretty much. I don't know if you've noticed, if you work with this stuff, they basically come out with something cool, and then all the other ones copy it. So I don't know how they get around that or what, but it's pretty funny. Like, as soon as something really sticks and everybody is really taken to it, they start copying one another. So, which is good for us, I guess, because it allows you to jump from software to software and actually have a working knowledge of it somewhat. So so the good thing is about this little shift command thing is, say these straight lines, and now with the grid I can get my line the size that I want it. Hold shift, keep my eye focused on that little grid there, maybe even jump to it. Since this is just the sketch lines, I might as well use the grid itself and ignore my old blue lines. And then I just kind of hold shift and throw some angles in there and try to make it look cool a little bit, and another good thing to do is to make sure that you change up the line thickness in certain areas. So like, say this part, I'll bump up the line thickness. I'll come back through here one more time and thicken that up, and I think it just conveys more of an effect that there's kind of more intricacy to that little flat wall, or well, it's not just a flat wall now. And these lines, if they were all the same, see how they're both the same size here, it's not very interesting. But as soon as I take a smaller line and I come a little bit closer into this area, it just made it look a little bit more, I don't know, a little more dimensional, something. And then what I'll usually do is come back on the area that I picture being the higher spot. I'll do like a little glare line like that, and simple as that. And and then along with some shadows and highlights against the wall, you can make this look relatively cool without a ton of time being involved. So that's pretty much what it's all about, trying to figure this stuff out and do it in a reasonable amount of time so that you can produce a book that hopefully somebody will buy, so that you can eat that month. I hope you don't feel obligated in any way. That's not the point. So here we go, some more lines, little thick to thin pulls. You see I'm feathering each line. I'm not just, people go, what kind of brush is that? What kind of software? Blah, blah, blah. It's not it. It's just getting your hand used to making all these different lines. You can do it all with everything from a technical pen to a feather. I mean, it really are a bunch of different ways to make various lines, but you can do it all pretty much just with a regular, big pen if you want to mess around with it and get good with it. I think people just use certain tools because, again, the speed. And yes, nothing beats like a crow quill. I can't remember if it's a crow quill 7 or 102 or something like that, but it's the lines that you can get from those are just amazing. God, I keep making that crooked. But you know, they're, I don't know, I don't like them. In all honesty, I can't get the swing of them. I want to. I keep messing with it. I keep breaking them. I don't know if I'm just heavy-handed or what, but they don't respond well to the way I use them. Um, they always rip up the Bristol board that I'm on. I don't get that, but not knocking anybody that uses them, because when you see somebody that's really good with it, it's awesome stuff. It's not my cup of tea. So, and one thing, you know, I'm more of a penciler, so I only ink because I have to. You know, I don't. Don't get me wrong. I love inking. It's peaceful. It's serene. You know, it's a cool thing to do. But I do it because I'm trying to produce a book, and you know, I really just like the pencil. You know, I really just like to create the storyline and the characters and stuff like that. So um, for me, digital is the way to go, because I can mess up with my inking multiple times and then keep going. And since I'm not a proficient inker, that suits me. So, you know, just do whatever works for you, though. You know, and I think the other reason that digital might be good, if you're working with a pencil artist that A, wants all their originals back, or they can send you a digital copy of their original, you can ink and send it right back to them. Yeah, you don't have an original per se. You'd have to just, you know, maybe sell prints of your work or whatever, but you know, it's, you don't damage that original for the artist. You know, some of those guys, like me in particular, I love my pencils. I hate, you know, kind of, I don't mind losing a few to real inks, but I just like keeping my original pencils intact. So let's see here. I'll probably bring this to kind of this oval shape going on right there, and then I'll line shade this. So let me see if I can get some nice tight little lines in there. Yeah, like that. Same thing here. See, and even right there, as simple as that is, I don't like those few lines I put in there. Control Z back. Try it again. Always like having that little opening of white in between the lines. Like that. Maybe feather this one back out the other way. Just like that. I don't like this little pocket of white right there. Another good technique with any of this kind of stuff is just always zoom back. That's going to tell you what this is going to look like smaller and reduced into a book form. Make sure those lines pull together, together, and give you the grayscale you're looking for. If not, you know, erase it out, do it again. But I'm not too worried about this. That's not bad for what I'm trying to do. Oh. Okay, so now where are we at here? Get these openings in the gauntlet, or wrist, his armor, I guess. I don't know if it's a gauntlet. I think a gauntlet's more on the hand, right? Right? No clue. The only thing that's making me think of that is something I read in a book. Alright, so just get those openings like that. Let's see, I usually do like this little side bezel right there, and then I'll shade the side of this black to make it look like it's rounding out with the armor there. just little things like that to try to convey depth. You know, you got to remember you're doing this all with just black and white, so you got to kind of trick the eye to look like, you know, there's depth in there and perspective and all that good stuff. It is just a form of trickery. You're kind of like a magician on paper or on screen with this. You got to remember it's a 2D plane that you're trying to give the visual interpretation of 3D, so it is kind of a trick of the eye, some of it. See, I'm starting to over detail this, so sometimes I gotta tell myself to get out of there. I just keep wanting to add more lines and more shading, and you can overdo it. I often do. So, alright, I'll leave that alone. Alright, so now we've got, I showed you part of the alien, part of his armor there. I already did all the shading in there. I'll show you kind of how I do part of Blackstone here, and then we'll wrap it up, and I'll either speed render the rest of this, or just you can pick it up on my DeviantArt if you want to see the final. I just wanted to make sure I got you guys a video this week, and I've been real busy trying to produce all this artwork and stuff like that, so I want to make sure I stay faithful to my followers on YouTube here. Just want to make sure this thing keeps growing, and you know, and keep in mind, let me know what specifically you do want to see, because I do actually go off that and try to help out and, you know, make videos that are pertinent to that information. So you just let me know what you want to see, and then you'll be amazed. That'll be what pops up in no time. So yeah, as long as it's cool, nothing vulgar or ridiculous or whatever. But it's okay. All I'm doing here, you see those little X's kind of signify where the black goes for his merry black skin, and then I just start to show the highlights here. You know, like here's the shoulder, light source, do a little rounded highlight. Here's the bicep, same thing, little round, little glare. You know, just kind of do that, kind of fill it out. Like the one part that I'm looking at that I may do away with is this bottom rim light around his chest. I'm trying to just show that his chest is, you know, like it's smaller up here because you're going to see more of the abdomen from this angle, but I don't think there would be a full light tracing around it like that, so that's kind of bothering me. But I also don't want it to look too flat, so what I'll do is I'll maybe do one of these numbers where it fills in black there and quickly picks back up into the other white highlight. We'll try that. So this is all blacked in. Still got to do the little X's for reference for myself. So there's a highlight there, highlight here. Okay, highlight there, and you just kind of, you see how I'm just kind of grabbing some of these lines, changing some of them. You know, they're kind of just more like guidelines than actual, you know, tracing or whatever. You know, there's some parts you're going to look at, go, oh wait, I think I can make this a little better. Well, then do that. Don't feel that you got to draw right over top of your initial lines. Okay, and then sometimes what I'll do before I get way down into here and all that, I'll close off this area. I'll make sure that the rest of my lines, I'll tell you what, since I'm not working on the techie stuff, I'll get rid of the grid too for a minute. And so what I'll do is I'll close off my lines excuse me, as I'm working to make sure that I didn't miss anything. So before I get too far into it, it gets confusing to look at. See, like right there, I missed a little highlight there, so, or a big highlight. So part of this is open, and it's probably right there. Try that again. Yep, that's where it was. Oh, missed another one. Oh, it's right there. Goodness, I'm sorry folks, I'm blind here. Here we go. That's almost why I do this, is because it's I guess it's easy to overlook some because I just did it like 3 times there. There we go, finally. And now I don't have to worry about that part so much. You know, just fill in a couple of these little specks. And if I want to do some more line work, but this is kind of a smaller scene relatively, so I'll probably let that go. And another way you could do this, or I could do this, or whatever, is fill majority of this area in black, lighten the layer down so you can see through to where the existing sketch lines are, and then just come back in and start inking with white. I go back and forth. There's certain areas I'll do that way. I just kind of like the effect of drawing it out because this is the way I did it for so many years when I was just kind of scribbling them on the backs of notepads and stuff like that. So that's the reason I stick to tradition and do it this way. I do try to actually mimic whatever I do in digital to feel like I'm working traditionally. Mainly because like the power could go out and I'd be stuck and I'd have to start drawing on paper again. So I try not to totally be at mercy of the old computers here. Heaven forbid Mad Max days around the corner and I can no longer draw because I forgot how to draw on paper or some crazy thing. It's really the same though. Like when people sit there and talk it down, oh man, digital's kind of a scam, or they don't like it because it's not drawn on paper. I'm sorry, man, but you got to get with the times or get ran over by them, in my opinion. It's you can do both if you want, but don't hate on the one because it's it's like the old story of I can't remember John. A guy was chopping down trees and died at the end or whatever. I want to look the story up, but it's about fighting innovation and technology, and basically the heart of the story is it kills you, that you can't really do it. You have to at least don't fight technology. Just be the guy that's smart enough to use it, or some stuff like that. But yeah, probably should just focus on telling you about inking instead of trying to change your worldviews. So yeah, you see how I'm just kind of outlining each little highlight there. Bada boom, bada bang. Get a couple of highlights here. Side of the abdomens. Forgive me because I do not know the names of the muscles here. Like that, like that. Oh, and this part, probably like that. See, and I really just play it by ear. I don't really know what I'm doing until I get there. And remember to always change up the line thickness and weight as you go, especially around the character. Good rule of thumb is on the underside of each thing to make it thicker, but I just kind of go back and forth, like thick, thin, and it just gives a little bit more visual striking lines and line work, and makes it more interesting to look at, I think. So, and it does convey a little bit of depth. So like that. See how I did that? I'll just blur that in because I actually can go back and do a couple little white highlights with the white ink. I'll show you that here in a second once I close. I'll try to make sure I closed off all my lines this time. Yeah, I think I did. Let's see. Yeah, sweet. Okay, so now, again, zoom back, double check to make sure I'm not putting too much time or energy into something that's not going to get seen. You got to figure I can't vouch for it. What I'm looking at on my screen right now, this would be about actual size. So I really can't fit a whole lot more detail in there that's going to be worth it. It's That's something else you got to look at when you're doing this inking. Not to zoom in too far, for one. Even when you're inking on traditional media, though, not to overdo a certain area that's basically just going to get lost. So like this right here, since I know now that this is a real small area, I'm going to kind of do these bigger lines to show the shading right there, like that. Traditionally, I probably would have did it real tight and detailed. Like I can already tell this alien's overly detailed for the size that it's going to go down there. So I just got to make sure that I don't spend too much time here. So another good thing, since I know it's going to get pretty much wiped, taken down so far, I could take a lot of this right here and just blacken that in. It could just be a shadow. No point in sitting there texturing those little lines. Now I could come back with the white and do a little bit of this. Not much, but just a little bit. Maybe something like that, just to feel more artsy. And bam, done. Leave it alone. Like, don't sit there and try to overly render that area, because you're not going to see it. So knowing that, I'll just kind of breeze right through the texturing of the alien. And forgive me for always referring to him as alien. Haven't got that far in the storyline yet, and I've always just planned this out in my head as far as what this story is all about. I don't know that he ever gives it a name. I've kind of had mixed emotions about that. So I don't want to be like, yeah, this is Blackstone, and on his back that's Bill the alien. I don't want to do anything like that, obviously, but and I know he gives them kind of like the rude nickname type stuff, but I just don't know that. That's what's kind of crazy. You have to kind of bear with me if you follow along with the storyline and what happens here. See if you like it. See if you think my stories are worth watching and follow along with. But it's just kind of this thing that happens to him. This life changing thing, and it's not. He doesn't communicate with it. He doesn't have conversations with it. It just won't allow him to do evil. And where he was so equipped and so okay with doing evil before, and now he cannot. And I don't know that I want it to be too much deeper than that. I'm sure it will become that through all the storytelling and the expansion of the character and the idea. But at first, I want it to be kind of that simple idea, where he didn't think he was doing anything wrong. He didn't think he was a villain. Didn't think he was evil. It's kind of like, if a guy goes out and kills some furry little creature out in the woods, he was just hunting. He's just hunting some food for that day. But I'm sure to that furry little creature's family, it was murder. That kind of is the idea, the premise, and that how it starts off, and how he doesn't think that he's a villain, but in all reality, he's pretty villainous. He's done some pretty horrific things. So, but yeah, so you'll have to just check it out and see if you like it. And this is the very beginning of it, so you can get on board and follow along. So, all right, I'll pretty much wrap this up now. So I just wanted to show you a few effects and textures and some inking, and you see I'm not extremely fast here, so I still got some hours into this page, but I don't really focus on speed at this point. I just want to make sure each page gets better and each book gets better. So but I did want to show you a few effects with that, and that's all I'll really do is I'll go around and just kind of grab parts that I want to work on. Some parts like this thwap are real easy, where it's just basically come over top of the blue line, get the right pen size, and draw over top of it. Another good technique, so that you can kind of backpedal on this stuff, is just make separate layers. If you feel like on some designs, especially if I feel it's something I'm more unsure of, I'll make a separate layer for almost anything and everything on that page. Definitely each scene I'll do as a separate layer. But if, like, even this thwap, look kind of cool. thing about making this a separate layer is if I want to position it, especially when I go to do my word balloons, it's real easy to do as another layer. So just keep stuff like that in mind if you're working digitally. So alright, well, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll have more on the channel real soon. I do appreciate you watching and subscribing. That's always great. You can find more of my work at DeviantArt. That's ramstudios1.deviantart.com. And then also, just spread the word and check back often for new videos. And be sure to leave a comment. Thanks very much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.